I'll just start off with essentially just a quick intro. My name is Tyler Hoffman. I'm a project strategist at Stellar Blue Technologies. I came from a background in experiential marketing and media, dabbled in advertising for a few years, really focused on technology, innovation, and integration. Schooling, have a degree in corporate communications, public relations, additional studies in marketing, business administration, and social psychology. So kind of led down an interesting path through my career, but it got me very involved in digital solutions, which has led me here to Stellar Blue, where we focus on a lot of web-focused digital marketing. So I'll dive in a little bit more about us at Stellar Blue. Obviously, full-service digital marketing firm. We were established in 2004. Actually, if anyone's familiar with the eSeed program, I believe Jim and a few associates went through that program. So we stay pretty involved in that, very supportive of local entrepreneurship. So we have now well over 400 international clients. Our entire team is actually based here in Wisconsin, but it's funny because we are not COVID related. We have always been a virtual company. So we have our main studio in Neenah, Wisconsin. We do have an office here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's where I'm located. But we do work virtually. So pretty much wherever we want, whenever we want. Being a tech company, it's pretty easy for us to be virtual, but we do like to be able to meet in person. So all of our people are from Wisconsin, so we can hit up the studios for any team bonding events or anything like that. Quick recap of what Stellar Blue is, in case you're not familiar. We started building custom websites. That is still our bread and butter, is custom websites. We focus a lot more, especially in these days, on empowering our clients to be able to manipulate and update their own content and change and add pages on their own website. So rather than reach out to us for every little change, we really like to educate our clients on how to run their own website. So for that reason, we are very focused on WordPress. We're a WordPress shop primarily. We can build within other platforms, but that's usually what we recommend. And we'll get into more details about that later. Multimedia, we did start a multimedia division a few years ago just to support the fact that so much of websites are visual. So we wanted to make sure that people had the opportunity to have 360, we do full VR tours, drone footage for, different portions of a website. It's really important to make sure you're visual, because the initial response or initial reaction to a company usually comes from the first couple seconds of a visitor seeing your website. So we want to make sure that we could kind of align our custom websites with the visuals that we have at our fingertips. Marketing, the best website in the world means nothing if you're not directing traffic to it. So we really focus a lot on our own marketing as well as marketing for our clients. Definitely need to be in alignment. I mean, I always say, you can have this amazing billboard, spend a ton of money. It could be the most clever, creative, memorable campaign ever, but if it's 20 miles from the nearest road, it's not going to do you any good. So making sure that we're driving the right traffic to your website for those users to engage is critical. Big part of that is our graphic design team, not just focusing on specific visuals, but really focusing on user experience and user interface. So we live in a world where, believe it or not, most people are on their mobile phones more than desktop nowadays. So we have to be designing, our graphic design team has to really focus on making sure that our websites meet those demands from all platforms, everything in between desktop and mobile phone. And you'd be surprised, there's a lot. I mean, we have people on sites from their PS3 and up. So analytics is a big one for us. That's really the proof in the pudding. We focus a lot, our analytics team really focuses on showing the numbers. When you're talking about marketing and ad spend, and if you're doing it through us, we really need to be able to show you the data on what is being impacted. Simple numbers about how many people came to your site are really invaluable. I mean, if it's mostly bot traffic or something like that anyway, it's irrelevant. So we really focus our analytics on what that means to your ROI. So we do have a full analytics team that does that. And then custom programming. We've actually dabbled a lot more in that. We used to do just like bot building and things like that. We're doing more mobile applications these days. Obviously, mobile apps are a big thing. So just general custom programming is becoming a bigger and bigger segment of our business as well. So just wanted to give you guys a full gamut background about Stellar Blue. We'll dive a little bit more into what we do. I don't want to go too deep into this. It does kind of relate to what we're going to be talking about today with e-commerce, but I know if anyone made it to Brett Hildebrandt's last presentation, he talked more in depth about all of this, so we'll just touch on it very high level, but it's worth mentioning. So as I said, we're a full digital marketing company. You know, everything that we do kind of falls under this one umbrella, and these are the building blocks to get there. So we start with strategy, really building a strategy for each of our clients. I speak to this because this is kind of the thought process that you should all go through. These are all thought processes that you should go through if you're looking to build up your website, optimize your website, and then hopefully turn it into an e-commerce site. So we'll get there and you'll see the tie-in soon. I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of kind of our process. So we start with that strategy. We really do focus a lot on analytics, especially if you have a current site. You should be looking at your analytics data. It is extremely important to have an understanding of where your site is working and where it's not. And that's kind of the easiest way to do it. So look at your analytics, make sure that your SEO is optimized. We'll talk a little bit more about a few little tips and tricks there. I have some things to share today, so we'll get into that. And make sure that your content, your digital marketing, your social media, all of your content needs to match the content on your website, and make sure that's optimized for your industry. Against your competitors, if you have all the same keywords, you're not going to be setting yourselves apart. So make sure that you're optimizing all of that. And that kind of relates to what you're putting into your digital media, your digital ads, and then multimedia. Like we said, it's so much of it comes down to that initial impression is going to make or break. If people, for example, if people go to a website and it looks really crappy, like a fifth grader tried to make a website, they're probably not going to view you as a very professional company, and they're going to bail right away. So you want to make sure that any imagery, any video, anything that you have in your site represents you in the correct light. Step 2 in our process is really focused on being more project specific. So this is actually what's going to relate the most to what we're talking about today. That very first block in the lower left-hand corner is the discovery and strategy. That's where we really dive into competitive analysis of you versus your competition to figure out, you know, what are your strengths and how can we, a lot of people think that they're strengths, but they're not a differentiator. We do step in and help our clients understand what that differentiator is and put strategy to how we're going to market that and how to make that very relevant or prevalent on their website. So we start with that. We get into hosting and security. Again, I will talk about that today. Security is a big thing. Hosting is critical, so we'll touch on that. Then we go into content and SEO. So we'll touch briefly on that. The rest, you know, I kind of covered already, but interactive elements, you know, results, focus, design, that's a lot of that UX focus, and just making sure your call to actions are very clear for people so that they're not just going to your home site or homepage, seeing it, great, and then leaving. You want them to take action and engage with you. And then step 3, just talking about like having a full understanding. Again, this is just kind of our process. I know it says marketing process, but really we do this with every client, whether you're a marketing client or not, because it's really critical to have a clear understanding of your business for us to be a true partner. So I won't go into the details here. I know Brett went through all of this, and I'd like to leave us more time at the end. So let's dive right into e-commerce. First and foremost, I always find this fascinating, so I wanted to share. You've probably seen e-commerce with a dash after the E before the C, without. Just going to clarify a few things for you in case that was ever a question. So e-commerce, I tend to write without a dash. The reason for that is Google. So technically, AP style says you should have a dash after the E. But Google and the way their bots and spiders scan things are based on frequency of search, and search engines are saying that without a dash is most frequently searched. So if you're looking for the maximum results, your content should probably not have a dash. Kind of crazy because it's opposite of what you'd think because it's not AP correct, but That's why you'll see most of this presentation, if not all of it, unless I missed one, will not have a dash. And then they do say if e-commerce starts the sentence or is a header, you do a capital E. If it's within a sentence, it should be a lowercase e, capital C. So again, not a lot of people follow that super close, but worth mentioning because I know people like me have seen it all different ways, and I never really knew what was right until I researched it. So, but Google, for the sake of being digital, Google recommends no dash, so keep that in mind. So we'll dive right into number one. It's really just about choosing what products or services you can digitize. So I know that sounds very simple, and a lot of people think, oh, I don't sell products, so there's no way I could do e-commerce. That's not necessarily true. There's a lot of different ways that you can start bringing in money online, and that's what we're helping, especially now with COVID, really limiting actual interactions, is helping people monetize their sites. So start by optimizing your website, and that's kind of what Brett went through. Again, I don't need to beat the horse on this one, but you know, discovery and strategy, hosting and security, these are all the elements that essentially will help you optimize your website to begin with. And that leads us into how we're going to build out e-commerce solutions. So a lot of people, when they hear e-commerce, they're actually immediately think of a full online store, and it doesn't need to be that either. So I like to start with forms. Utilizing general forms on your website can help your company at least be profitable or getting money directly through your website. So big thing for a lot of our clients is online payment. If you're a service company, you can always be collecting payment online through a bill pay button or something like that. So keep that in mind, that there are a lot of ways, even if you're not selling a physical product, that you can be engaging. So start with online bill pay. I have an example here. This is one of our clients, the Fox Cities Butterfly Festival. They take their registration forms, which are paid forms that you can collect as much or as little information as you want, but it ends with that credit card payment at the bottom. There's a lot of different options for this. These can be built out pretty much endlessly. This is pretty basic, but it does collect quite a bit of data. Anyone can set that up however they want. That is not a full online store. That's simply e-commerce in the form of utilizing an online form. If you're building within WordPress, I don't know how many of you have a WordPress site, but I think we primarily use Formidable Forms for our form building. It's a really easy plugin. It's pretty cost effective, and it's so simple that essentially when people hire us to do it, they hire us to sign up for the plugin, get in there and build the first one, and train you on how to do it, because you can do that yourself. It's really awesome. We like to focus on solutions that we can just kind of, we'll always be there for support, but you guys, you need to be able to do your own thing with your business. So that's one. Quote request forms. So I know that we have one of these on our site. We probably have a bunch of them on our site. We keep ours really simple because we just want people to reach out to us with any questions or for any additional information. So ours doesn't have a lot of info. It's just contact info, and it goes straight to one of our sales team. It actually goes to our full sales team, and then we know which ones we can follow up with. So really good tool. A big benefit to that, and we'll touch on that in a second, is the data collection. But I don't want to leave out different forms for signing up for newsletters or blogs. A lot of nonprofits, we work with more and more nonprofits, and they have a hard time understanding e-commerce because, again, unless they're selling apparel or something, they don't really have any need for online other than their brand presence. Having people sign up for newsletters and blogs means that you're always top of mind with them and you're engaging them. So make sure that they're doing that, and it also allows them to flow automatically now into that market automation. So just like collecting any sort of user content, which all of those forms I just mentioned do, now you're getting them into your CRM so that they're always getting those newsletters, those monthly emails, whatever it is that you're doing as a marketing campaign, they will see. And that's always going to help optimize your chances at getting business from those people as well. So make sure you're utilizing your CRM integration. Align campaigns with traditional marketing. Kind of a lot of people have a hard time with that concept. I myself did as well. Traditional marketing being everything from billboards to radio campaigns, you name it. you can align your digital marketing strategy with that, not just in the content that you're sharing, but for example, pending what you're sharing within that billboard, it could be a very specific link. So you know exactly how many people went to a specific page, a specific landing page based on seeing that specific billboard. So you know the effectiveness of what that campaign brought you for potential business. So always track that. There are a lot of ways to do that on the back end of a website. And it's really important to look at your analytics then to help you determine where your money is best being spent. And then most critically, be found. If people aren't finding you, all of this is irrelevant. So make sure that you're updating your Google My Business account, updating your social media to always be most relevant information, and focus on SEO optimization. So we'll dive into that in a second. I don't want to take too much time on that. Choose your e-commerce platform. Quite a few e-commerce platforms out there. Here's just a few of the top ones. First and foremost, you'll see WooCommerce. So that is the platform that we use at Stellar Blue the most. It's because it's very well integrated for WordPress. WordPress is the #1 CMS in the world. So again, good, easy, very user-friendly. WooCommerce is a great plugin to allow people to have a shop online. If you don't have a website, you'll see second in line is Shopify. I'm sure you've heard of Shopify. That's a really good one. If you don't necessarily have a website, whether you do or not, it doesn't matter. You can have a Shopify account that acts like an online shop / website. So that one's been gaining in popularity. I know Wix, a little bit further down the list, has been focusing a lot on trying to better their e-commerce platform. They were always first focused on a really easy way to build websites for individuals. Now they're focusing a little bit more on not just that, but the e-commerce element. And it makes sense. E-commerce is growing exponentially. So those are just a few. I really only bring that up because look into what's best for you. Just because it's most popular might not mean it's best for your solution. So, next, we'll talk a little bit about payment gateways and shipping gateways. So diving into this, there's a lot of different payment gateways out there. These are just some of the top ones. 3 of these are what we recommend to all of our clients. So Stripe being #1, it seems to be most cost effective. And it's most cost effective, but it's really easiest to integrate to a website. So we definitely recommend Stripe. PayPal is another one. That's probably one of, if not the most frequently used amongst my clients. And I think it's just the familiarity of the name. But you can use more than one of these at once. So don't feel like you have to pick or choose. You can certainly integrate as many as you want. But PayPal is a good one. I know PayPal is pretty frequently used when it comes to recurring payments. So if you want people to be able to sign up to pay online and have it recurring, that's a good option for you. And then authorize.net is another very popular one. A lot of factors play into this. Amazon Payments is growing in popularity too. So like I said, at this point in time, again, especially now, thanks to COVID and everything moving to online, there's been a lot more focus on making sure all of these competitor platforms are pretty much equal. So do some digging into these. You'll see, you can Google entire lists of the top payment gateways and figure out what's going to be best for you, because essentially you are tying your bank account to that. So you want to be confident that that's the right solution for you. Another thing is shipping gateways. So if you are selling a product online, you want to make it as simple as possible. And part of that is having automated shipments. Most of the main carriers have APIs that you from your website can tie into. We've got clients that have actually all the main carriers on one page. So when you fill out your order form, at the bottom, you can see all the prices. It automatically populates pricing for what you're buying, and it'll give them those numbers. This is all automated. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Stellar Blue isn't out there writing all of this custom code for all of this. We don't live in that world anymore, and that would cost our clients way too much money. It is critical to find these plugins, these solutions. Payment gateways do a lot of this for you. So we can utilize plugins to just pull this information from those carriers and allow our users to have a much easier experience at buying online. So a lot of tips and tricks to that, but really it's just using the resources at your fingertips more than reinventing the wheel. Last but not least, certainly not least, is add or increase security. So I do want to dive a little bit further into this one, and if you've heard of it, great. If you haven't, fine, we'll get there. SSL, if your site does not have a secure socket layer, meaning your domain says lock, it should show a little lock like it does here, or your domain, when you type it in, will say not secure. That is critical on so many levels, especially as you move into e-commerce or collecting information or payments online. So the reason I bring that up is twofold. One, Google no longer scans sites for organic SEO, that's search engine optimization ranking, if you don't have a secure site. So if you don't have an SSL, you're not paying for a secure socket layer certificate every year, they will not be scanning your site at all for organic ranking. So all that money that you spend, that's the only benefit you're going to have. So it's really important to make sure you add an SSL. We pretty much don't build sites anymore without that. I think it's like $300 a year or something like that. It's well worth it because, again, not only are you adding security to your site, but you are ensuring that Google's bots and spiders are automatically scanning your site to rank you on Google. So when people are searching, they more easily find you. Good way to tell how secure your site is, even if you do have an SSL, because there's a lot of, I'll get into that in a sec. This link right here, I suggest you write that down. That goes directly to a page where you can put in your web address and it will grade you. In the right-hand column, it'll give you a grade on a bunch of different criteria on how your site is for security. So really good thing to do. I checked ours before this just in case anyone was going to check ours, and we had all A's. So, but a lot of factors play into that. The reason I bring that up is don't freak out if your score isn't that high. If you have SSL, you're already in the right direction. If your score is, not necessarily where you want it to be, you're not all A's, don't worry. There's a lot of factors that could come into play. For example, you will downgrade your score if let's say you work with a web company and you had all A's, but you updated one of the images on your homepage. If you pulled that in from a link that was not HTTPS : it was HTTP : it will actually downgrade you because that S stands for security. And so you pulled an image that's not secure onto your secure page. Still, you have security on your page, but you just opened up the tiniest opportunity for a hacker. So, and the chances are you'll never have a problem with it, which is why it's not going to completely destroy your grade, or you don't have to, don't panic. But something to keep in mind is where you're pulling images from to put on your website is very important that that's secure. So again, look into SSL, reach out to your web provider. I don't know who you're working with or whatnot, but you can always find out. And like I said, I think it's roughly like $300 a year. It's well worth it because that's your first front layer of protection against hackers. So naturally, next I'll talk about how frequent hacking is. Front and center, there's a hacker attack every 39 seconds. That is not a joke. I think it actually recently went up, or the number went down, so it's actually more hackers. It's because it's not individuals doing this. These are bots. These are spiders that are out there automatically looking for loopholes to be able to attack your site. So keep that in mind if you don't have a secure site already. Definitely something you want to do. Again, especially if you're going to be collecting people's information or selling services or products online. 65% of cyber attacks are aimed at small to medium businesses. So there's a big misconception that, well, we're pretty small. Hackers only go after the huge corporations. That's not true. Those are the ones you hear about on the news. But believe it or not, that's not the case. Hackers can more easily access smaller businesses, typically because they don't have those crazy high clearance security levels. So definitely make sure that you're looking at your security. And that should be step one, really, when it comes to e-commerce. And then, scary enough, nearly 4 million records are stolen from breaches every day. So it's hard to fathom that, but it really is true. And we're watching that. We have different services in play that we can see all of the attack attempts every day from every one of our, every minute of every hour from every one of our clients. And it's pretty crazy. A lot of them don't think it's a problem because they never see any repercussion from it because we're always protecting it, but something you definitely want to keep in mind. So CDN services stands for Content Delivery Network or Content Distribution Network. It's essentially your hosting and how redundant your hosting is. So some of the top ones, I think Cloudflare is one of the top, if not the top one right now. That is also the one that we work with the most. I know Amazon is a big one that we work with. It's not, AWS is on here. So yeah, AWS CloudFront is Amazon. Those are two of the really top ones. What this means is if a server goes down somewhere, essentially they have redundancy so that it doesn't affect your users, especially when you're talking about purchasing, because a user, every like second, a user doesn't click the next step to actually continue to buy whatever it is online, your chances decrease by like 50%. It's a crazy number on the decrease of chances of you selling that product or service just because of a delay. So hosting is critical. If you're looking at adding e-commerce, either a store or even just forms on your site, make sure your hosting is up to par, not just for security purposes, but to make sure that your speed, so the speed that a site loads, and to make sure that your servers don't go down. If you offer a really good discount, or you have a special or a sale going on, whatever that may be, you might have an influx of users at the same time, and that can always put extra strain on your servers. So make sure that the redundancy and the server scale is there so that you guys don't have to worry about that. So that's really, again, really high level, just diving into all of that. I'd rather hear from you guys on questions that you have, any specifics, and we can certainly talk after the fact as well, but I'm going to open it up for questions. I do have two things. First, here's my contact info. Feel free to shoot me a message via email. That's my cell phone number. Call me anytime. Connect with me on LinkedIn, whatever's easiest for you. Happy to help. I'm not going to bill you for my time. You know, just happy to answer any questions. Any way that I can help you guys out, feel free to reach out. And shameless plug before I jump back into questions, I do want to say, especially if you guys are looking for an e-commerce site, at the end of August, we are picking a winner of a free e-commerce site for our giveaway for August. So definitely wanted to mention this. Jot down that web address right there. Go there, sign up. If you are looking for an e-commerce site, why not at least look to see if there's a free option? Because we are going to be, I don't know the exact dates. My marketing team is running all of this, but I think they're picking either at the end of the month or right at the beginning of next month. So make sure you get it in August. Again, it's a free e-commerce site, so I'm not really sure why you wouldn't if you're interested in e-commerce. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to go through today. Like I said, we can dive into some more of the details if you'd like, but I wanted to hit everything high level at first, and we'll open it up for questions. Anyone at all? Do we need to unmute people? Not sure if everyone's unmuted.
A couple people are muted, but they are able to unmute themselves if they need to.
Yeah, so any questions? And like I said, if you don't want to bring it up now, no problem. Just feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call. Happy to help you guys out anytime. I do want to be cognizant of everyone's time too. So I like to, 30 minutes is usually a good thing for me. So if anyone has to jump off, I totally understand. No questions. Must have gone through just the right amount of information. That or nobody understands it and I did a terrible job. Sorry if that's the case. Then definitely reach out to me. No? Going once? Going twice? All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. Again, jot down my info. Reach out anytime. Mark, I don't know if you had anything else to say. Otherwise, I think we can wrap it up early.
Okay. We'll. Thanks for that presentation. That was very informative. As always, we'll be putting the video of this up on our website for future reference if you need to come back and review something, and also for people who didn't see it. I believe we're in the planning stages for doing one of these again next month. I'm not sure what the topic is yet. I just started hearing about that, I think, yesterday, and I forgot to jot down what the topic is, but we'll be letting everybody know about that. So I think that's about it.
Cool.
All right.
I think we're all set then. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, everyone, for attending. Thanks, Tyler.
Yep, no problem.